We're starting off on a warm Friday evening, September 12, 2008 to be exact, in a really quiet Los Angeles suburb. Imagine a cell phone suddenly ringing, and the name flashing on the screen is Charles Peck. Now, Charles was a devoted father and fiancé, just traveling back home to start this whole new chapter of his life. But what happens next? Well, it isn't just a tragic accident. It's the beginning of a truly profound mystery.
Seriously, how does a man who has already passed away make 35 phone calls? We're going to take a super close look at a paradox that completely defies logic, science, and, honestly, maybe even time itself. Let's unpack the terrifying and totally unexplainable events of that night, where a sequence of absolute impossibilities left investigators scratching their heads.
So here's what happened. When Andrea Katz saw Charles's name light up her phone, she picked up immediately, right? She was fully expecting to hear his cheerful voice saying he landed safely. But instead, she was met with this chilling, heavy silence, followed by the faint crackle of cold static. Obviously confused, she hung up. But literally moments later, breaking news flashes across her TV. A catastrophic train collision had just happened in Chatsworth, Los Angeles, and her fiancé? He was right in the middle of it. Charles Peck was a 49-year-old customer service agent for Delta Airlines. He'd been working out in Salt Lake City, but he was traveling to LA for something huge, a job interview at Van Nuys Airport. And get this, the interview was a massive success. He completely nailed it. Charles was absolutely overjoyed, knowing that if he got this job, he could finally move back to California and marry Andrea, the love of his life. Riding high on that amazing news, at 4:05 p.m., he grabbed his seat among 225 other passengers on Metrolink train 111 at Union Station, just heading into the weekend.
Now, the setup for this disaster is absolutely terrifying. As Charles's packed commuter train is heading out, this massive Union Pacific freight train is barreling in from the exact opposite direction. And the truly terrifying part? They were on the exact same single track.
You know those fail-safes that are supposed to prevent this exact kind of thing? Well, they entirely broke down because of human error. The Metrolink engineer was actually distracted by his cell phone, and he completely missed a crucial red signal. This fatal split-second mistake meant the commuter train just didn't stop. It kept hurtling blindly forward right into a blind curve near Chatsworth.
At exactly 4:22 p.m., those two giant trains collided head-on at 54 miles per hour. The impact was just unfathomably violent. The locomotive of that heavy freight train actually shoved the first Metrolink passenger car backward, crumpling the steel like it was a tin can and turning it into this chaotic graveyard of metal. Over 100 people were severely injured and dozens were trapped inside.
At 7:08 p.m., which, keep in mind, is nearly 3 hours after the crash actually happened, Andrea's phone rang, and the caller ID? It clearly displayed Charles's name. She answered, screaming his name in absolute relief, but nobody spoke. Instead, she just heard the ambient sounds of the rescue site in the background and the faint hiss of static before the call abruptly disconnected.
And here's the thing. This wasn't just some one-time glitch or a weird misdial. Over the next 11 hours, Charles's phone called out 35 distinct times. 35 calls, echoing right out of the dark, twisted metal of the train wreckage, lighting up the phones of his desperate family.
What makes this even more unbelievable is the actual pattern of the calls. The phone seemed to possess a mind of its own. I mean, it didn't just dial random numbers in his contact list. It selectively dialed only his most immediate, desperate family members. We're talking his fiancée Andrea, his son Karian, and his sister. The family would answer, practically begging him to hang on, fully believing he was trapped under the debris and using the absolute last of his strength to dial for help.
So these phantom calls literally dictated the entire rescue protocol. The family immediately reported these active calls to the police, and authorities sprang right into action. They started tracking and pinging the cell phone signal. The local cell towers confirmed the signal was coming directly from the first passenger car, which was the most destroyed section of the entire train. Armed with that critical data, firefighters focused all their heavy equipment right on that specific spot. These phantom calls were quite literally guiding the rescue teams through the dark.
His family was waiting at a nearby command center, and they assumed the obvious, right?
that Charles had survived the initial impact and tragically passed away during the cold night while desperately trying to call them. But the Los Angeles County coroner delivered an autopsy report that sent an absolute chill down the spines of every single investigator. The medical examiner concluded that Charles Peck died instantly upon impact from severe, catastrophic trauma. He didn't even survive the first minute.
Just look at this timeline. It brilliantly illustrates an impossible paradox. Charles's body was lifeless under tons of steel at exactly 4:22 p.m. Yet somehow, his phone started making deliberate, targeted calls to his loved ones nearly 3 hours later at 7:08 p.m., and it kept doing it all the way until 3:28 in the morning.
Because if you're trying to piece together how this happened logically, here is the detail that throws every single theory right out the window. The police thoroughly searched Charles's clothing, the debris around his body, the entirety of the passenger car, everything. But Charles Peck's actual physical cell phone, it was never found. It completely vanished into the wreckage. So that entirely rules out the idea that he survived the crash and was physically pressing those buttons in the dark.
Now, some early theories suggested maybe a scavenger stole the phone from the wreckage. But we have to ask, if it was stolen, why in the world would a thief exclusively dial his fiancée, his son, and his sister over and over again? They didn't call anyone else. That selective dialing pattern makes the anomaly incredibly difficult to explain away as mere theft or some random coincidence.
So, impartially looking at the source material, we're basically left with two wildly different explanations for what happened that night. One relies entirely on the mechanics of our technology, and the other, it relies on the unyielding power of human connection. Let's break them down.
First up, we have the telecom network glitch. Some telecom engineers suggest that the violent 54-mile-per-hour impact essentially broke the phone's software while it was trying to connect. So this catastrophic damage created an automated ghost loop in the system. It trapped a series of desperate signals that the cellular network just kept repeating and routing to his top contacts all through the night.
Conversely, we have the theory of conscious energy. Charles's family and a lot of observers who follow this case believe the explanation goes way deeper than a busted circuit board. They believe that in his final conscious moments, Charles's intense desire to reach his loved ones actually manifested as a final silent beacon. It's the belief that raw, desperate energy, driven by pure love, can bypass physical destruction to say, "I am here, come find me."
The Chatsworth crash remains a historic disaster, undoubtedly one of the worst transit tragedies in California's history. But whether you lean strictly towards a bizarre one-in-a-billion telecom software failure, or you believe in the unyielding supernatural power of human connection, the facts of this explainer remain exactly the same. 35 ghost calls were made from a man who had already passed away.
It really forces us to confront the unknown. Are there some mysteries in this universe that our everyday technology can easily record, but our brightest science can never truly explain? I'll leave you with that thought to ponder today. Weigh the theories for yourself and ask, what do you think really happened in the dark wreckage of Chatsworth that night?